I am Dawn Keller. I am a real estate investor and multifamily syndicator. And we're doing some education series. This is the next one. Fun topic again tonight is we're doing head to head single family versus multifamily, the great investment debate, right? Before we dive into tonight, I'm going to just share a couple of things, just a little bit about my background and just kind of why we're doing this. And I don't worry, I'm not going to sell you anything. We do help people create passive income through real estate investing. But this is not a program that I'm selling you. I like just doing education pieces. I feel like for me, when I first started investing in real estate, I didn't even know where to get started. And that's kind of why I think this topic is so crucial because there's so many different ways when you're looking at real estate investing. There's so many different ways that you can make money. There's so many different directions you can go. And it's kind of hard to know like what is the right option for you. I'm hoping we're going to answer some questions tonight for you. I have done both single family and multifamily. And, I think when you're evaluating a real estate investment, we look at, a lot of people think of flips, right? Single family flips. That's the first thing that I did actually. And then there's Airbnb is a hot topic right now. Short-term rentals. You could do just like a buy and hold. You could do like long-term rentals, right? Just buy single family homes and rent them out. Kind of be a landlord. You've got multiple houses. And then you can go even beyond that. You could do storage facilities. You could do car washes. There's really so many different directions you can go with real estate investing. And I find that a lot of people ask, like, Dawn, like, how did you make the leap from single family to multifamily? Or how did you know this was the right option for you to begin with? And for me, I think that I got stuck in that analysis paralysis kind of where I over evaluated everything. And then just like really took a long time to move forward. And so my hope is that by me already exploring a lot of different options, like doing a lot of research and all of this, that I can save you some time too, and just kind of answer some questions for you guys and just share like how I got started and what that looks like. But I think it'd be great to just like kind of take head to head single family versus multifamily and put them side by side and see what happens. I think there's pros and cons to each one. I will tell you, like, I did a single family flip to start, and it was a lot of work. Nothing wrong with single family flipping, but when I did that, it was a huge undertaking. I ended up doing way more work than I thought I would, like more hands-on than I thought I was going to be. That was not my original intention when I first set out, and ended up doing like physical labor, like painting and sanding and more than I ever cared to do. And it just kind of snowballed into this. But at the end of it, I couldn't figure out how to like, how am I going to, I couldn't see the scalability of it. I thought like, how am I going to turn this into something? I'm looking for something really to put my money to work and like grow that exponentially. And like, I couldn't see how to do it. I'm like, man, I have to do a lot of single family flips to really grow this into something that is sustainable, where it's like cash flowing and like making consistent money. So I went back to the drawing board after that. I was like, I don't think that's really the way I want to go. That's not really what I envisioned. They make it look so easy on HGTV, and it's not really what I had in mind. So I went back to the drawing board and researched lots of different asset classes and eventually came across multifamily. I'm so glad I did, but it really just checked all the boxes for me as far as what I was looking for, the scalability and tax benefits and just really growing that. And I didn't want to be hands-on at the time. I was like, I'm good. I've got a job. I am busy. I do not want to do that. I just want to put my money to work. And kind of to like back up and just tell you guys, for anyone on here tonight that doesn't know my story I've shared before, but for me, I grew up really just I was taught just to save my money. That's what my parents, that's what they knew, right? They taught me what they knew is like, Dawn, save your money, like get a good job. I got a 401k. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like probably the first one in my family to ever have a 401k. I think I'm doing all the right things. I'm like, did some stock investments. I'm like, this is awesome. And then somewhere along the way, I'm like, this is not going to cut it. I'm afraid this is not going to get me to where I want to be. And my parents are now in their 70s and they're both still working. I hate that for them. I don't want them to have to work. If they want to work, great, but to have to work at that age, it's something that none of us want, right? I don't want to work until I'm 70. I don't know about you. But that's a reality that a lot of people are facing. I've talked with a lot of people that I think as we get closer to retirement, we're like, am I saving enough? Like, am I like, I want to be able to create like legacy wealth for my kids, my family, and I don't want to have to worry about that. And I've even talked to, we work with a lot of physicians in our line of work and that want to passively invest. And I talked to a surgeon who is 56, and he said, "Dawn, I thought I'd be able to retire by now, and I'm not." And he's like, "I feel like I'm missing out on things like with my family events and kids and soccer games and all of those things." And that's kind of where the conversation started, is like, how can I put my money to work? And that was me. I think some of you can relate to that, obviously. That gentleman that I talked with, he was in the same position. A lot of people that I talk with, I think, understand the value of investing in real estate and having rental income, as passive income, but they just don't have the time, really, the time like to find deals and to manage their own deals. And so that's how we help past investors put their money to work in syndications and multifamily, basically buying apartment complexes. But since I've done both, and I have a lot of people that ask me those questions, like, and everybody's different. It really just depends on how much time that you have. Everybody's situation is different, and how hands-on you want to be. I learned really quickly, fortunately, that I did not want to be that hands-on. I do not want to pick up a hammer or a paintbrush. So I'm good with them. Some people love that, and that's great. So a lot of it's going to depend on what your goals are, and what you're looking for as far as real estate investing goes. So I'm hoping that this answers some questions for you guys tonight. So let me do this. Um, I'm going to screen share so we can get into our topic tonight. So let me share the screen. Okay, perfect. And then let me pull up this guy to do. Okay. You guys, somebody holler at me if you're not able to see that, or if anything like looks, I'm using like dual screens, and that's always a challenge for me. So um okay, so our topic for tonight, the great real estate investing debate, taking them head to head, multifamily versus single family. So let's go. First of all, important information, disclaimer. This information the information provided is for educational purposes only. Dawn Keller, that is me, is not a CPA, tax advisor, or attorney. The information is not intended as and may not be relied upon as tax, legal, investment, or other advice. And then just a little bit background about me. You know what? I don't know if this makes a difference, but I'm going to move this over here. That may make no difference to you guys, but it's like the little video inset. So hopefully that way you can we can keep an eye on each other. Um, okay, a little bit about me. I founded Crown Capital Multifamily. I have partners that I do this alongside. We have a whole team, actually. When you're taking on a giant project like multifamily, 10, 20, $30 million projects, we certainly don't do it alone. So we have a whole team of expert advisors and CPAs and attorneys and property management companies that help us along the way. But my partners and I collectively have invested in 3,000 units. Personally, I've been investing since 2019 and have invested in over 800 units with 75 million in assets under management. So it grows, and it's really cool. It's a great model. It's been a really great business for me, and been a lot of fun along the way. So what we do, again, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just like background for anyone who's not familiar with this, what this means is essentially like a syndication. We buy apartment complexes, mostly here in DFW. I know I have a lot of Dallas sites on tonight, and they're known as multifamily apartment complex. Multifamily is a fancy name for apartment complex. And we basically improve the condition of these properties. So these are properties that typically are built in like the 60s, 70s, 80s, but they're in good neighborhoods. We have a lot in like North Dallas. My Dallas sites, like we have one like right by the Galleria. There's a few like Beltline, Preston area, kind of North Dallas, good school districts, great locations, but they're older properties and they might just need a facelift and just need some work. We can maybe reduce operating expenses. But in order to do this, we basically, to form a syndication, we are pooling money. Like, so I can't go out and buy a $20 million apartment complex by myself, but collectively, all of us today on the call, we could pool our money and buy it that way. Which is kind of cool that we all own an apartment complex together and we all get to share in the profit. So we work with a lot of C-suite execs, a lot of business owners that are looking for tax deductions. There's great tax benefits in multifamily as well. A lot of physicians, but also I love this business because it is kind of a feel-good business. We're improving these properties. This is where people live. This is their homes. And when we improve these properties, this is like also making it a better place for them to live as well. So I think that's kind of a great side there. Just checking on you. So, okay. This is what we're going to do. This is our lineup for today. So head to head, single family, multifamily. We're going to go through these topics in the center here. We're going to look at what does it look like on both of these for acquisition and financing, valuation and appreciation, vacancy, liquidity, maintenance, management, and income potential. So let's go. First up, acquisition and financing. Single family. So the reality is like, okay, single family, if you wanted to buy a home, buy a house that you want to rent out or flip or whatever, the reality is you can probably buy that pretty quickly, right? Or like really relatively easily. There's MLS, first place you could look, right? Anybody can go to MLS and buy a house. If you're really savvy, you can go to auctions on the courthouse steps. You can buy houses at auctions. You can do door knocking. I've never done that, but I've heard people that do that and they actually go like literally go door to door and or find owners that are maybe struggling with making payments and they will approach them to see if they can buy the house directly from the homeowner. So there's different ways that you can easily, though, a simple MLS, just, see what's for sale and buy something, right? Less capital up front. Sure. If I'm going to buy a $200,000 house, if it's a rental or like an investment property, I'm probably gonna have to put down from a bank, probably have to put down 20%. Okay, no big deal. 40 grand plus closing costs, plus whatever rehab I'm going to put into it. That's doable, right? Probably less capital up front. Sure. And then easy to finance. I can probably go to any bank, any Wells Fargo or Bank of America and get a loan and I am good to go. So pretty easy peasy there. Whereas multifamily on the right-hand side, you can't just go on. There's no MLS for multifamily. There never was and never will be. You won't see any for sale signs in the front yard of an apartment complex. You have to know somebody. You have to have a broker relationship to find out where these listings are and what is for sale, what's on the market available. So definitely a little bit trickier there. More capital. It's a larger project. We're talking about big projects. Even if you were doing a small multifamily, like 5 units or more, you're probably looking at it's going to be more capital than it would be if you're buying a single family home, right? That's easy math. So definitely going to take more capital up front and more difficult to finance. Probably cannot waltz into a Bank of America and say, I want a loan for this $10 million property, please. They're not going to give it to you unless you have some sort of experience or track record. You have to show that. You have to turn over all of your track record to the lenders. But you do have more options. You don't just have to use bank loans. You could do agency. That's what we do. We use Fannie and Freddie. We're able to get more favorable terms, but you do have to show that resume and track record. This one definitely, I would say, I'm going to give it to a single family because buying a single family home versus multifamily, I think it's much easier to go out and buy a single family home. However, there might be an exception. For example, in just like what we are doing in syndications, right? So we talked about how, I can go buy a single family home, let's say a $200,000 home for a down payment of 40 grand, let's say 10 grand for closing costs. And then my rehab is, 20 grand or more. Let's just say you're probably in the project for 70 to $100,000, somewhere in there. Well, let's say 100 just to be for easy math. You could put that same $100,000 into a multifamily syndication where you're not doing any of the work, where you're actually leveraging somebody else's time and expertise to do all of that for you, to find the property. They have the broker relationships. They're going to, all the capital you have to worry about, how much are we going to put down on this down payment? How are we going to finance it? You're not worrying about any of that. You're actually leveraging somebody else's expertise. So there might be a little bit of an exception, but I'm going to give the point to single family. Next up, valuation and appreciation. At first glance, we can see that single family homes historically appreciate faster than other types of properties. Okay. But single family valuation, how you value a home, a house, a single family house, is really at the mercy of the comps that surround it, right? What do the other houses look like? What are they going for sale for? Plus just general like supply and demand, like actually what's happening in the market. Well, both of those things are really out of investors' control. Um, Multifamily, on the other hand, is based the valuation, how you evaluate a multifamily property, it's based on net operating income. So really, there's kind of an advantage here because you can sort of force, like you can generate kind of like force additional income by adding streams like other passive like income streams, like let's say like laundry income or parking or Wi-Fi and internet or solar, plus just the multiple streams that you're going to have from the rental income itself of a property with multiple units on it. Plus, you can also reduce expenses on a property because you've got some economies of scale there where you can work on efficiencies. So there is an advantage there because the valuation is completely different and you can actually manufacture additional value to a multifamily property. So kind of a bonus there, gotta say. Okay. Next up, vacancy. I'm gonna let's see. We've got okay, so two scenarios here. One on the left, you've got let's say we didn't just do one single family because that's not really fair. Let's say we were investing, so we've been investing for a while, and we've now accumulated 5 single family houses around the metroplex at $200,000 each. We're going to compare that to a 100 unit apartment building at $10 million. Now, again, that's a syndication. However, I'm not really taking into account here the upfront costs because I could easily invest, I don't know, 50 grand into a syndication for co-own an apartment complex versus if I'm buying 5 single family houses, I'm in those houses for way more than 50 grand. So we're not going to consider that for this piece for vacancy, but just kind of keep that in your back pocket. We're just going to look at vacancy and how this impacts each scenario. So let's say for single family, we've got, let's say our rental income, we're renting each of our houses out for $2,000 a month, and we've got 5 of them. So we've got $10,000 a month. Yeah, I'm making you do math here. No, I'm going to do all the math for you. It's really easy. And then let's say our mortgage is $1,500 per house. So our total mortgage for the month is going to be $7,500. Great. I love that. But let's say we've got one vacant unit. That's going to happen, right? So now my rental income is 8,000 a month instead of 10,000. That's okay. I'm still covering my mortgage, and still these are going to appreciate, increase in value. I love that. I like it. On the other side, we've got, let's say our 100 unit apartment building, we've got rental income, $1,000 per unit times 100 units. We've got $100,000 a month. And then our mortgage on a property of this would probably be around $40,000. So let's say for that same percentage, like 20% is what you're looking at. So keeping it apples to apples, if I had a 20% vacancy, that means I'd have either one of my 5 units in single family or 20 of my 100 units on multifamily. So let's say I had 20 vacant units, my rental income would drop to 80,000. That's okay. I'm still able to cover my mortgage at 40,000. So both those scenarios, I like them. They're great because I'm still able to cover my mortgage. My renters are paying for my mortgage, and I'm still profiting. But let's say, is it possible that in single family that you might have 2 vacant units at the same time? I mean, can that be possible? I mean, I would think absolutely. I would count on it at some point. It's highly likely that this is going to happen. We are not all blessed with perfect tenants that pay their rent on time, that want to live in your rental house for the next 20 years straight. You will have turnover. So yeah, it is likely that you might have 2 vacant units at the same time. Well, that means now my rental income is going to drop to $6,000 a month, but my mortgage is still $7,500. So I am no longer covering my mortgage in that scenario. And then the same thing for multifamily. In that same percentage, we're at a 40% vacancy. So 40%, 40 units are vacant. My rental income on this scenario would be $60,000 a month. Well, guess what? I can still pay my mortgage at $40,000 a month. So I am still good in that scenario. This property still cash flows. I like that. So definitely a bonus there. Love that you can take advantage, like income from multiple units can really offset the cost of your vacant units. Liquidity. I'm not really gonna spend much time on this one, guys. I'm giving it to single family for sure. um, just gonna give it to single family. Definitely single family. If you needed cash in a pinch really quickly, you could probably easily sell your single family house, your rental, right? Just list it for whatever you need to. If you need cash out, just get it, right? Generally, multifamily is considered illiquid during the hold period. So keep that in mind if you were ever considering multifamily. That is definitely something. So I'm giving the point to single family on this one. No questions asked. And next up, we have maintenance. Okay, so we've got here Forbes says the cost of maintaining and managing a single unit in a multi-unit building is generally lower than the cost of maintaining a separate single family home. Essentially, what we're talking about here is economies of scale. You've got a lower repair cost per unit because you are managing a lot of different units under one roof. For example, I think I clicked my transition, but for example, if you had an issue with a roof, let's just say for the roof, for example, you would only need to pay for like the repairs for that roof like one time to fix the roof versus your roof's going out on multiple properties that you've got kind of spread out your single family homes across the metroplex. Like every time a roof goes out or every time you need a plumbing repair, you're kind of just hitting it all at once instead of doing it over and over and over again on your single family homes that you've got. Easier to manage work orders under a single roof than multiple single family homes spread out over the metroplex. Yep, again. So this also is true for vendors, right? So let's say you've got, if you're not doing the work yourself, you don't want to be the maintenance man. That's great. I don't either. Then you're hiring out, whether it's like landscaping or plumbing or whoever your contractors are that you would use for your single family houses or your multifamily property. It is a lot easier to manage those for one person to manage that if they're all under the same roof versus again if they're all spread out. And then one other benefit is that a multifamily can allow for a full-time maintenance personnel. So especially if you're at, let's say, I mean, when we're doing a multifamily like 100 units or more, probably not even that, you're probably at about roughly probably around 60 units is probably a good point to that you would want to not manage yourself. You'd want to hire out a third-party management company, and that also comes with a full-time maintenance person. So having that multifamily property with a full-time maintenance person, now you're even saving even more money because you're not, that it one phone call to the plumber is $250 for them to come out. I mean, just for the trip, just to come out. So you're not paying that over and over again for every time that something happens at one of your single family houses that you're renting. You've got that all under one roof. You've got your maintenance personnel like on staff that you're paying that can just take care of all of those work orders, all of those maintenance, versus hiring that out or DIY. No, thank you. I've been there, done that. I have no desire to be a roofer or a plumber on top of everything else. So in this one, management, up next, we are going to do a little true or false here. Got a couple statements here. So the first one is managing one single family home is easier than managing a single multifamily building. So one single family home or one multifamily building. Definitely true. Absolutely. Definitely easier to manage one single family home, right? The next statement is managing multiple single family homes spread out over a metroplex is easier than managing a single multifamily building. And as you can probably guess, that is definitely false. Um, and plus again, consider that we may not be managing it. We may not be self-managing at all. You may choose to do that if you have the time for it, and that's great. But I will say this, caveat, if you're talking one single family home versus a multifamily, then yes, I would give the point to single family. That is easier. But if you're talking multiple, once you get into multiple, so once you start scaling that we talked about earlier, it's going to be easier to do it all under the same roof. And then income potential. So first up, you've got rent. On average, rent for a single family home is more than rent for an apartment, right? That makes sense. Like single family homes, you're probably looking at, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath that is going to rent more than an apartment would. That's either a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, or 2 bedroom. You might have some 3 bedrooms here or there. So that definitely makes more sense. You're going to have a much higher rent from a single family home. So that's great. That sounds like a point there. However, there's some other things to consider. From an investment perspective, multifamily buildings provide opportunity to rent out more units on the same property, resulting in more income potential. And then you've got portfolio growth. So buying and maintaining 20 single family homes would be less efficient and less profitable than operating a 20 unit property. I mean, think about just even 20 different mortgages, literally like 20 different mortgages versus one, even just that one little thing. So Forbes and World Population Review agree on these, that income potential is that one's going to go to multifamily. But how? So I have a lot of people that ask me this, and I thought this might be a good place to kind of just share a little high level of what that looks like, because I understand like you're immediately like Dawn, I can do the math on, I buy a single family home for 200,000, I put 40,000 into it, or $4,000 payment, I put 20,000 into my rehab. This is my mortgage. I know exactly what I'm going to net at the end of the day. Well, how does that look for multifamily? Because it's a little bit different math, right? So here's just a really high level. Let's say we purchased that 100-unit apartment building for $10 million. We're renting those units out at $1,000 a month. So we're going to hold this property for 5 years. And every year, we're going to increase rent by 3%, which is nominal. I mean, anyone who is renting right now can agree and attest to that. Their rent has probably increased by more than 3% each year for the past several years. So just a nominal, very, very nominal rent increase. That's very common to see that, a 3% really without doing anything to the property. So we're going to increase rent by 3% every year. So at the end of the 5 years, we've essentially taken the rent from $1,000 a month to $1,160 a month times 12 units. I'm sorry, times 12 months times 100 units. And that's an extra $192,000 a year that we just generated just by doing that. So $192,000 a year in extra cash flow. And over here, the last circle here, I've divided by 0.06, which is 6% cap. That's just like if we were going to value this property, a 6% cap is probably a good average right now for like a B, C class property. We just increased the value of this $10 million property by 3.2 million. So we took that $10 million property is now worth 13.2. And so all investors, as we co-own this property together, get to share in that profit and that increase in value. So just high level, I thought that might be worth sharing. So head to head, let's see, how did we do overall? Single family, we got lower upfront cost and easier financing, right? We got liquidity, definitely. Easier to manage. I did give the point there, even though we talked about how managing multiple, we're just talking about one single family home versus multifamily. If you were doing multiple, that's questionable. I'd say I'd give it to multifamily. I'm going to give the point to single family. Multifamily, you've got that forcible value increase potential, right? We can actually create value, more stable rental income, less volatility and vacancy, cheaper maintenance costs per unit, and you can leverage management. You can leverage using a third-party management company. So overall, not bad on the stack. And then that last one, faster. All of these really lead to a faster portfolio growth and income potential in multifamily. So there's pros and cons, as you can see, like to both. There's no right answer. I just like kind of putting them side by side to see. It's really going to depend on what your goals are. But I also just like sharing them, like what these other factors. Let's weigh them and let's see what the pros and cons are of each, because there are pros and cons of each, and you have to kind of consider all of those. Why multifamily? This is one that I also like sharing with everyone. I'm not going to do it tonight because we are out of time for this evening, but I'm going to go ahead and flip to this last slide here. If you guys will just do me a favor and scan this QR code here, it's just a Google form. It just shows me that you're here. And just like two questions of just if you want to get in touch, if you would like, we have free resources. We've got 10 free tips to make your money work for you. And just if you wanted to just go from here, if you'd like to get plugged into our inner circle, our network of wanting to know about deals coming up or next education events, I will just say this, like, for me, this is how I see it, is like we work so hard for our money. I think you deserve the best for your family and your children and like that generational wealth, and just that financial freedom, like buying back your time. Like we talked about that, buying back your time and just, making a better life for yourself and your family. I think that's so important no matter what you decide to do, whether it's single family or multifamily. It does not matter to me, but I'd love for you to do something. That's why I like helping people just kind of compare and see what options there are, but just do something for yourself. I don't get stuck in that analysis paralysis. I would just do your research and then just go for it. Make a decision and go for it, because I think time goes by so fast. And I think, we're already almost in June, and we're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas. And, before you know it, it's going to be a year from now, and you're going to not have made any investments or not have done anything or not taking that first step. So I would just encourage you, no matter what, just take that first step. Um, Multifamily has helped me get to my financial goals faster, and I think it can help you too. Again, we're not selling anything here, but you do have to know someone. These are private deals, so you do have to know someone. So if you'd like to know more about what that looks like and what kind of deals we're doing next, definitely just fill out that little Google form, like 2 or 3 questions, and take the next step. And I wish you guys all the best. I want to be a resource for you and help you in any way that I can. But